Have you ever wished you could design your life like a product, testing ideas, making changes, and slowly creating something that feels right? What if the same creative process used by designers and inventors could help you build a life that fits your values, talents, and dreams? Welcome to Better Self. Here you use simple English and clear ideas to help you grow as a person, while also practicing your listening and language skills. In this video, we will explore designing your life, how to apply design thinking to build a meaningful life plan. You will learn how to understand yourself, generate ideas, test small experiments, and iterate again and again. This is not a fixed plan or a set of rules. It is a flexible, creative process that helps you move toward a life that works. We will go step by step. Each chapter will focus on one idea. You will hear real-life examples, practical tips you can use today, and small reflection moments to help you practice English while you plan your life. Listen slowly, pause when you need to, and let the ideas sink in. Now, let us begin. Chapter 1. What is design thinking for life? Design thinking is a way to solve problems that starts with people. In design work, the goal is often to make things useful, easy, and enjoyable for users. When we use design thinking for life, the user is you. The question becomes, how can you design a life that feels useful, simple, and joyful for you? Think of design thinking as a map with a few clear steps: empathy, define, ideate, prototype, test, and iterate. Each step helps you learn more and make better choices. The steps are not a straight line. You move back and forth. You try, you learn, and you change. This makes the process gentle and forgiving. You do not have to get everything perfect on the first try. Imagine you want to rearrange a room in your home. You do not start by knocking down walls. First, you notice how you use the room. You see which furniture blocks light. You try different small changes. Move a chair, add a lamp, maybe hang a mirror. These small experiments tell you what works. Gradually, the room becomes comfortable and useful. Designing your life works the same way. Instead of huge changes, you test small moves that show you what feels right. Design thinking asks big questions and small ones. The big question might be, what kind of life do I want? The small questions are, what can I try this week that will bring me closer? The power is in many small tests and adjustments. Over time, these small changes add up to a life that fits you better. A clear advantage of this approach is that it reduces fear. When you see life as a series of prototypes, failure stops feeling final. A failed prototype is useful information. It tells you what does not work and points you toward what might. This mindset is different from thinking that you must make the right choice once and for all. Instead, you learn to enjoy the experiment. Another advantage is creativity. Design thinking encourages you to imagine many possibilities. Sometimes your first idea is not the best. When you generate many options, you give yourself a better chance to find something meaningful. You learn to combine parts of different ideas into something new. This opens space for unexpected opportunities. There is also a strong focus on people and context. When designers solve problems, they look at the environment and the human experience. For your life, this means noticing the people around you, the times of day you feel energetic, the places that make you calm, and the activities that energize you. These details matter. A life plan that ignores them is harder to follow. To make this practical, start small. Pick one area of your life you want to improve: career, relationships, health, or learning. Use the design steps as a guide. Observe how things are now. Ask yourself what you want differently. Generate many ideas, even silly ones. Try the simplest ideas first, for a short time. Learn from the results and change. Design thinking is not a linear recipe. It is a creative loop. It encourages curiosity, empathy, play, and learning. It helps you move from confusion to clarity, from stuck to active, and from wishing to doing. In the next chapters, we will explore each step in detail. We will practice empathy for yourself. Learn to define the right problems, create many ideas, and run small experiments that teach you what works. If you listen to a chapter and try one small action right away, you will already be designing your life. Keep that in mind as we continue. Chapter 2. Empathy. Know yourself deeply. Empathy is the first step in design thinking, and when you design your life, empathy means knowing yourself deeply. It means paying gentle attention to your feelings, your energy, and your patterns. Many people skip this step. They jump to big plans or copy what others do. But a plan that does not match who you are will be hard to sustain. Empathy helps you create a life that suits you. Start by observing. Spend a week noticing what lifts your energy and what drains it. Notice the times of day when you feel most focused and when you feel tired. Watch how different people affect you. Notice small preferences, whether you like quiet mornings or noisy cafes, long walks or short bursts of exercise. These simple observations are data. They tell you how your mind and body respond to the world. To make this concrete, imagine a person named Lena. Lena works in marketing and often feels worn out by midday. She used to assume she is lazy. One day, she decides to observe herself for a week. She writes notes after each work session, when she felt focused, what she ate, whether she had been outside, and how long she had been sitting. She discovers a pattern. She feels most alert in the morning after a short walk and a light breakfast. After lunch, she feels heavy and unfocused, especially when she eats a big sandwich. This simple insight changes how Lena organizes her day. She moves her most creative work to the morning and saves meetings for the afternoon. She also replaces heavy lunches with lighter options and short walks after eating. These small changes come from empathy, from careful observation of her own life. Another useful practice is to tell stories about your life as if you were a curious friend. Ask questions like, what activities make me lose track of time? When did I feel proud recently, and why? What small daily rituals bring me comfort? This storytelling helps you see patterns. It surfaces values. You might realize that helping others makes you feel alive, or that learning new things brings you deep satisfaction. These clues point toward meaningful directions. A helpful tool is a simple journal template you can use for 1 week. Write 3 short notes each day, 1 moment that felt good, 1 moment that felt bad or draining, and 1 small idea to try tomorrow. Keep the language simple. No need for deep analysis at first. Over time, patterns will appear. These patterns become the foundation for your life design. Empathy also includes being kind to yourself. When you notice mistakes or limits, avoid harsh self-judgment. Instead, treat your observations like neutral data. If you notice you avoid a task, ask why. Is it fear? Lack of skills? A poor environment? When you approach yourself with curiosity rather than blame, you open the door to change. You can also practice empathy by asking others for honest feedback. Choose people who know you well and who care about your growth. Ask them what they see as your strengths, what drains you, and what opportunities they notice. Often, others see things you do not. Take their feedback gently. Use it as one more data point. Empathy is about context too. Look at the places you work and the people you spend time with. Do they support your goals? Sometimes the solution is changing the environment rather than changing yourself. For example, if noise distracts you, find a quieter space. If a group of friends always leads you to unhealthy habits, consider building new social habits like joining a walking group or a reading club. Your environment can be a powerful ally when aligned with your values. Finally, empathy is ongoing. You are not a fixed person. Your energy, priorities, and needs change over time. Make empathy a habit. Regularly check in with yourself, update your observations, and adapt your plans. This keeps your life design aligned with who you are now, not who you were 5 years ago, or who you think you should be. Through empathy, you build a life plan based on truth. Not hope, not comparison, but honest observation. This grounded starting point makes the rest of the design process stronger. When you know what fuels you and what drains you, you can define better problems, create smarter ideas, and test experiments that actually make sense for your life. Let empathy be your foundation as we move to defining the right problems to solve. Chapter 3. Define, frame your life challenges. Now that you have practiced empathy and learned more about your routines, feelings, and energy, the next step is to define. Defining means turning observations into clear questions you can act on. Good definitions are like good maps. They guide your choices. They help you see where to start. Without a clear definition, you might try many things and feel stuck. With a clear definition, you use your time and energy more wisely. Start by turning your observations into problems to solve. If you notice low energy after lunch for several days, the problem could be I feel tired after lunch and lose focus on my work. If you find your evenings are empty and lonely, the problem could be I want more meaningful connection in the evenings. A good problem statement is specific, actionable, and framed as an opportunity. It answers the question, what do I want to change? A helpful method is to use a simple template. Right, how might I specific change? Chapter 4. Ideate, generate possibilities. Now that you have defined a clear problem, it is time to ideate. Ideation is the process of generating many ideas. The goal is not to choose the perfect idea immediately, but to open up possibilities. The more ideas you create, the greater the chance you will find something that works. This phase is playful and wide. Allow your mind to wander. Encourage unusual combinations. Often, the best solutions come from surprising places. Begin with quantity rather than quality. Set a timer for 15 or 20 minutes and write down as many ideas as you can. Do not judge them. Include wild, simple, and half-baked thoughts. For example, if your problem is how might I bring more creative work into my current role, your list might include options such as propose a new project to management, start a 30-minute daily creativity practice, offer to redesign a small internal process, take an online course to learn a new skill, start a blog about your industry, or create a lunchtime workshop for college. Some ideas may seem silly, but they can trigger useful variations. Use different ideation techniques. One technique is scamper. Substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, reverse. Use these prompts to transform existing ideas. For example, if you currently write reports, how could you modify them? Could you add visuals or short videos? Could you combine them with small workshops? These prompts help you see existing parts of your life in a new way. Another technique is analogies. Look at how others solve similar problems in different fields. If your challenge is designing more meaningful social time, look at how communities are built in other settings, sports teams, clubs, or even online forums. How do they create rituals, roles, and repeated touch points that foster connection? Borrow and adapt elements that fit your life. Invite other perspectives. Sometimes your best ideas come from people outside your problem area. Ask a friend or colleague to brainstorm with you, and encourage them to be strange and generous with ideas. When others bring fresh angles, you may discover options you would never have considered alone. Keep in mind the constraints you identified earlier. Constraints are not enemies. They are helpful. They force creativity. If you have limited time, explore micro habits or small, high-impact actions. If your budget is small, look at low-cost prototypes like local meetups or shared projects. Designers often find that clever constraints sharpen focus and produce better results. Balance ambitious ideas with tiny actions. Big visions are motivating, but small experiments are what create progress. For each big idea, ask what is the smallest test you could run in 1 week. If your idea is to start a blog, A small test could be writing a single post and sharing it with a trusted friend. If your idea is to propose a new project to management, the smallest step might be a short email asking for a 5-minute meeting to pitch a concept. Try idea combination deliberately. Some of the most creative solutions come from combining two unrelated ideas. For instance, you might combine a morning creativity practice with short walks, turning movement into an idea-generating tool. Or you might combine a social goal with a skill-building goal, such as joining a language exchange group that meets to cook together. Combinations often lead to natural, sustainable routines. Remember to include low-commitment options. Many good ideas fail because they require a leap of faith. Include options that you can try with little cost or time. Low-commitment experiments reduce fear and increase learning speed. They make the process fun, rather than overwhelming. Create a categorized list. Organize your ideas into buckets such as easy to try this week, needs conversation with others, requires learning, and long-term visions. This categorization helps you pick the right experiments for the present moment. If you are busy this month, choose items from the easy to try bucket. You can always save the bigger ideas for later. Use storytelling to test your ideas in your mind. Imagine yourself doing each idea. How does it feel? What could go wrong? What small changes would make it easier? These mental simulations help you refine ideas before you try them. A real-life example shows the power of ideation. David, an IT support worker, wanted more meaning in his work. He generated many ideas, teaching basic computer skills at a local community center, starting a podcast about demystifying technology, mentoring young students, offering weekend workshops, and writing simple online guides for older adults. He combined two ideas into a small experiment: a 1-hour weekly class at a nearby library teaching email and file organization to seniors. It was low cost, required little preparation, and matched his desire to help. The class was successful and became a meaningful part of his life. The broad ideation process helped him find a practical, rewarding path. Ideation is about being generous with possibilities and permissive with failure. Many ideas will not work, and that is fine. Each attempt teaches you something. Keep your list growing. Return to it when you feel stuck. Over time, you will create a rich set of directions to explore. The next step is to pick a few ideas and turn them into prototypes you can test. Choose 1 or 2 that feel doable and aligned with your values, and let curiosity lead you to the next small experiment. Chapter 5. Prototype. Try small experiments. After ideation, the next step is prototyping. Prototyping means trying small, inexpensive, quick experiments to learn what works. Think of prototypes as rough drafts of life changes. They are not final solutions. They are tests. The goal is to gather feedback and learn as fast as possible. Prototypes reduce risk and increase clarity. Start with the smallest possible experiment you can imagine. If your idea is to add creative work to your day, a prototype might be a 30-minute creative session on Wednesday morning. If you want more social connection in the evenings, a prototype might be inviting one neighbor for tea. Small prototypes are easy to do and easy to stop. This makes it safe to try many things. There is a useful mindset here. Aim to be curious, not perfect. When you prototype, you are learning. The prototype does not need to be polished. It simply needs to be real enough to show you whether the idea has promise. Often, imperfect experiments are the most revealing. They expose the real challenges and unexpected benefits that polished plans hide. It helps to create a simple plan for each prototype. Decide what you will do, when you will do it, and what you will observe. Include a short measurement. How will you know if the prototype is worthwhile? Measurements can be simple. A note about mood, energy, level of connection, or whether the activity felt meaningful. Keep the time horizon short, a few days to a few weeks, to keep learning fast. Consider practical examples. Maria wanted to explore a career change into teaching. Rather than quitting her job or enrolling in a long program, She prototyped by volunteering to teach a single workshop at a community center. She prepared one lesson, taught it, and watched how it felt. The prototype showed her that she loved working with learners, but felt uncomfortable with curriculum design. This learning helped her focus on roles with mentorship rather than formal curriculum development. Prototype different variations. When you have an idea that looks promising, try 2 or 3 small versions to discover what works best. For example, if your problem is a lack of focus, test 3 prototypes: a 25-minute focused work block with no phone, a change in snacks after lunch, and a short outdoor break at mid-afternoon. Each prototype will give different information. Over time, you can combine the most effective elements. Use the fake it principle wisely. Sometimes you can simulate elements of a future life to see if they feel right. If you imagine yourself as a writer who works 3 mornings a week, try a 1-week simulation where you treat 3 mornings as if they are workdays. Arrange your schedule, tell a friend you are unavailable, and see how it feels. These pretend prototypes can be powerful tests of feasibility and desire. Take notes and reflect. After each prototype, write down what happened. What felt good? What felt awkward? Who did you need to involve? What was the biggest barrier? These notes become your most valuable data. They help you see patterns and make better decisions for the next round. Involve others when it helps. Prototypes that rely on other people can be especially revealing because they show real-world interaction. Invite a colleague to collaborate on a small pilot. Ask a friend to join a habit-building challenge, or arrange a short informational interview with someone in a field you want to explore. These interactions provide social feedback and can reveal assumptions you missed. Be ready to fail and reframe failure as learning. Many prototypes will not work, and that is normal. Each unsuccessful test narrows the field and points you toward better options. Keep a light touch. Celebrate the learning and the progress. Over time, the accumulation of small experiments builds confidence and momentum. A story illustrates this well. Jamal, a software developer, felt restless and wanted more balance. He prototyped 3 small changes: blocking 2 hours on Friday morning as no meeting time for creative work, starting a Friday walking group with colleagues, and delegating 1 task each week. Each prototype had different results. The no meeting time improved his deep work and helped him complete a side project. The walking group attracted only 1 colleague at first, but grew slowly. Delegation was harder than he expected because he had to train others. The prototypes taught Jamal what was easy and what needed more work. He kept the no meeting time, continued the walking group with a different schedule, and created a 30-minute training template to make delegation easier. Prototyping also helps you feel less committed emotionally to any one path. And because each change is a test, you can try many possibilities without fear. This mindset frees you to explore and follow curiosity. Over time, the results of your prototypes will shape a clearer idea of what you want. When a pattern of successful prototypes emerges, you will have strong evidence to scale the change into a more permanent habit or plan. Choose a prototype you can run this week. Make it small, time-boxed, and measurable. Try it, take notes, and reflect. The next chapter will show you how to use testing to gather feedback and make better decisions. Keep experimenting. Each small test is a step toward a life designed around what truly works for you. Chapter 6. Test. Learn from feedback. Testing is where prototypes meet reality. It is the step in which you gather feedback, check assumptions, and learn from outcomes. When you test, you are not proving that your idea is perfect. You are gathering evidence to improve it. Testing requires honest observation and a willingness to update your thinking. This is where design thinking becomes powerful, real-life response, and you learn what to do next. Begin with clear questions. Before you run a test, ask what you want to learn. If your prototype is a weekly creative morning, you might ask, do I feel more productive during creative work? Can I consistently protect the time? Does this schedule reduce my stress or increase it? If the prototype involves social connection, you might ask, did I feel more connected after this meeting? Did the other person respond well? Clear questions guide what you observe. Collect different kinds of feedback. Some feedback is personal and subjective. How you felt, how enjoyable the activity was. This is essential because life design is about your experience. But also collect objective feedback when possible. This could be a simple measure, such as the number of pages written, the number of minutes of focused work, or the number of meaningful conversations you had. Combine subjective and objective data to get a fuller picture. Ask others for feedback. If your prototype involves other people, a new role at work, a group activity, or a teaching session, ask participants what they thought. Be specific in your questions. What was most useful? What was confusing? What could be improved? People often give the most helpful feedback when you frame questions that invite both praise and critique. Practice listening without defending. When you receive feedback, especially critical feedback, resist the urge to explain or defend. Instead, thank the person and ask for examples. Specific examples are gold. They tell you exactly what to change. Over time, you will become better at extracting useful information from varied sources. Look for patterns across tests. 1 or 2 data points can be noisy. When you run multiple small tests, you can notice trends. Maybe your creative mornings feel great on Tuesdays and Thursdays but are less productive on Monday. Maybe your evening social experiments work with some people, but not others. Patterns help you refine the prototype into a sustainable change. Use the feedback to iterate. Testing is not an endpoint. It is a loop. After each test, update the prototype and test again. This cycle accelerates learning. If a test shows a small problem, adjust and retest. If a test fails completely, analyze why and move on. The key is to keep learning. An important aspect of testing is adjusting expectations. Some prototypes will need time to show results. Skills often improve with practice. For example, if you prototype a public speaking course to see if you enjoy teaching, the first session may be rough, but the second or third session may be much better. Decide which tests require multiple iterations before you judge them. Balance short-term feedback with long-term indicators. Some changes show quick results, like mood changes after a walk. Others take months, like building a new career. When testing, be clear about the time frame. Use short tests to learn about immediate reactions and more extended pilots to explore deeper questions. Document your learning. Keep a simple log of your tests, the prototype you ran, the questions you asked, the outcomes, and what you learned. Over time, this log becomes a map of your progress. It will show which paths you tried and the lessons you gained. It also helps you avoid repeating experiments that did not work. Consider social tests as experiments in human fit. When you change how you spend time or who you spend it with, you are testing fit with other people. For example, if you invite a friend to a study group, observe how the dynamics feel. Did the arrangement help both of you? Did expectations match? Social tests help you design ways of connecting that are sustainable and enjoyable. A story can bring these points to life. Mai wanted to see if she could shift into freelance design work. She ran a series of tests, a 2-week project with a small client, a mock proposal to practice pitching, and a networking coffee with a potential collaborator. Each test taught her something different. The client project showed that she enjoyed the creative freedom. The mock proposal revealed gaps in her pricing strategy. The networking coffee showed that potential collaborators valued a different skill set than she had highlighted. Mai used these tests to refine her services, adjust her pricing, and craft better pitches. The testing process narrowed the gap between aspiration and reality. Testing also helps you accept setbacks with curiosity. When a prototype fails, ask what you learned rather than asking who is to blame. This mindset keeps you moving. It turns disappointment into a useful step forward. Finally, testing gives you confidence. When you make decisions based on experiments rather than fear, you can move forward with clearer evidence. Even if the evidence shows a dead end, you will have learned quickly and with low cost. This builds resilience and wisdom. Use testing as your ongoing practice. Keep running small, time-boxed experiments and gather feedback. Use the data to improve your prototypes and gradually build a life plan that is anchored in real experience. Testing keeps your life design honest and alive. Chapter 7. Mapping your life. Create a flexible plan. After many small tests and iterations, you may begin to see patterns and pathways that feel promising. The next step is mapping, creating a flexible plan that organizes what you have learned and points the way forward. A map is not a rigid script. It is a tool for navigation. It shows possibilities, timelines, and the relationships between parts of your life. A good map helps you make choices with clarity and freedom. Start with 3 to 5 life areas that matter most to you right now. These could include work, relationships, health, learning, and creative projects. For each area, write a short statement of intention. What do you want in that part of life? Keep the language simple and positive. For example, in work, I want creative tasks and flexible hours. Or in health, I want steady energy and consistent movement. These intentions are not final goals. They are directions. Next, gather your findings from empathy, definition, ideation, and testing. What prototypes worked? What environments helped you thrive? What constraints limited you? Place these insights near the related life area on your map. This step turns scattered experiments into a coherent picture. You will start to see where small wins align and where conflicts emerge. Use a visual layout that makes sense to you. It could be a simple paper chart, a digital board, or a notebook page. Draw areas as circles or boxes. Connect related experiments with lines. Label small wins and challenges. A visual map helps you see overlap. Maybe a morning routine improves both health and creative work. Maybe a social habit supports learning and connection. These overlaps are opportunities for efficient design, changes that produce multiple benefits. Create short-term and long-term paths. For each life area, plan a 3-month path and a 12-month path. The 3-month path focuses on experiments and habits you can try now. It includes the small prototypes that showed promise. The 12-month path sketches bigger moves you might make if the short-term experiments succeed. For example, in the short term you might block 2 mornings per week for creative work. In 12 months, you might aim to transition to a part-time role or freelance projects if the pattern is sustainable. Include simple metrics for progress. Metrics are not just numbers. They are signals that help you notice change. Choose 1 or 2 indicators per area. For health, it could be number of days you do movement per week. For work, it might be hours spent on creative tasks. For relationships, it could be the number of meaningful conversations per week. Keep the metrics easy to track and meaningful to you. Plan for integration. Your life map should show how different areas fit together. For example, improving sleep quality may increase your energy for work and your patience in relationships. If you see strong interactions between areas, design experiments that serve multiple goals. This integration makes your plan efficient and sustainable. Allow room for detours. A map is useful because it makes alternative routes visible. If your first plan does not work, you can choose another path you have sketched. This flexibility reduces anxiety. It also encourages experimentation because you know the change does not have to be permanent. Use milestones as checkpoints rather than deadlines. Milestones help you know when to pause and reflect. They can be small, like completing a 6-week prototype, or larger, like finishing a certification. When you reach a milestone, review your map. What did you learn? What should you change? These checkpoints keep the plan alive. Include supportive systems and habits. A plan is more likely to succeed if it aligns with routine. Identify the habits that support your map. A morning walk, a weekly planning session, a monthly review with a friend, or a 15-minute end-of-day reflection. Add these supports to your 3-month plan. Habits are the bridge between intention and reality. Consider dependencies and risks. A map is stronger when it accounts for obstacles. List the key dependencies, things you need from others or skills you must learn. Also note risks, such as financial uncertainty or family obligations. For each dependency and risk, add a small mitigation strategy. If you need a new skill, plan a short course or a mentor conversation. If finances are a risk, prototype a low-cost way to test a new career before fully committing. A practical story helps here. Sam created a life map after several prototypes. He wanted more balance between his engineering job and his interest in furniture making. His map had 3 areas: work, craft, and family. In the short term, he scheduled 2 early morning sessions per week for woodworking and negotiated 1 afternoon per week for creative work at his job. His 12-month path included setting up a small online shop if the morning sessions produced a steady small collection. He added supportive habits, an evening shutdown routine to protect mornings, and a weekly family planning meeting to ensure support. Sam's map helped him move deliberately, without sudden upheaval. Make your map visible and revisit it often. Put it where you will see it, on a wall, in a journal, or a digital dashboard. Each week, glance at it and note 1 small action you will take. Each month, review lessons from your tests and update the map. Over time, the map will evolve, becoming a living guide rather than a static plan. Remember, the map is for you. It should reduce stress, not increase it. If a plan feels rigid or overwhelming, simplify it. Choose fewer areas, shorter timelines, or smaller experiments. The goal is steady progress, not perfection. Mapping turns your experiments into a coherent strategy. It gives you a flexible route forward, built on evidence and aligned with your values. With a map in hand, you can move from reactive changes to intentional design, shaping a life that grows with you. Chapter 8. The Role of Values and Constraints. Values and constraints are twin forces that shape your life design. Values are the compass. They tell you what matters most. Constraints are the frame. They limit options but also spark creativity. When you design your life well, you use values to guide choices and constraints to make them realistic and focused. Understanding both helps you build a life that is meaningful and doable. Start by clarifying your core values. Values are not goals. They are deeper preferences that guide behavior. They might include things like autonomy, growth, family, creativity, service, or stability. To find your values, think about moments when you felt most alive or most proud. What was happening? Which values were present? Write down the top 3 to 5 values that feel most central to you. Once you have your values, test your life against them. Look at your daily routines, work, and relationships. Where do your actions align with your values? And where do they diverge? For example, if autonomy is a core value but your job leaves you with no control over your schedule, that is a mismatch. Not every part of life will perfectly align, but knowing where the gaps are helps you design targeted experiments. Values also help you choose between competing options. Life often presents choices that are both good. Values provide a tiebreaker. If you must choose between 2 paths, one offering higher pay and the other offering more creative freedom, your values will guide the decision. Choosing consistently with your values reduces regret and increases long-term satisfaction. Constraints, meanwhile, are the real-world limits that shape what is possible. They include time, money, geography, family responsibilities, health, and legal or organizational rules. Rather than seeing constraints as obstacles, view them as creative prompts. Great design often emerges within limits. Constraints force you to focus on what is essential and find clever ways to make things work. Consider how constraints helped a friend of mine, Lena, who wanted to learn painting but lived in a small apartment without a studio. Instead of waiting for a large space, she experimented with portable materials and a fold-out easel. She set up a 30-centimeter square canvas on her dining table and developed a practice of short, focused sessions. The constraint of space led her to create a compact system that fit her life. Over time, she improved, and later, she rented a shared studio. The constraint did not stop her. It shaped a practical path forward. When you mix values and constraints, you create strong priorities. For instance, if family time is a core value and time is a constraint, you might design your work week to protect evenings. If learning is essential, but money is limited, you might choose free online resources or mutual learning groups. Think of constraints as the soil that roots your values in reality. Use values to evaluate prototypes. When testing a new habit or role, ask, does this align with my values? If it does, it has a greater chance of lasting. If it conflicts, it might be unsustainable. For example, a high-demand job might pay well but clash with a value of presence for family. You might still pursue it temporarily, but you will be aware of the trade-offs and can design compensations. Be transparent about trade-offs. Every choice involves trade-offs. When you choose one path, you often move away from another. Clarity about these trade-offs helps you act with intention. Write down what you will gain and what you might have to give up. This makes decisions less emotional and more strategic. Another practical step is to create a values checklist for projects and commitments. Before saying yes to a new responsibility, run it through the checklist. Does it align with my top values? Does it respect my key constraints? If the answer is mostly yes, the commitment may be worth testing. If not, consider declining or redesigning the commitment. Constraints can also be shifted. Some constraints are fixed for now, but others can change with creative thinking. If time is a constraint, could you reallocate tasks, delegate, or combine activities? If budget is tight, can you barter skills or exchange services with others? Thinking flexibly about constraints opens new routes. A story illustrates this well. Omar valued growth and travel but had limited savings and a full-time job. He designed a plan that combined micro steps, saving a small percentage of income, working remotely 1 month per year with company permission, and joining local meetups to keep learning. He used constraints, limited savings, full-time job, as guardrails and aligned his decisions with values, growth, travel. Over time, his small savings and network built up enough to support longer travel stints. Remember that values evolve. What matters most at 25 may shift by 35. Revisit your values regularly, especially after significant life changes. Keep your constraints updated too. New responsibilities, changed health, or a move to a new city will alter what you can do. Design is a living process. In the end, values give you direction and meaning. Constraints give you focus and realism. Together, they help you make decisions that feel right and work in practice. When you design your life, let your values lead and your constraints shape the path. This balance will keep your plan both inspiring and sustainable. Chapter 9. Habits, Routines, and Systems for Designers of Life. Designing your life is not only about big ideas and experiments. It is also about the small, repeated actions that create momentum. Habits, routines, and systems turn intentions into reality. They are the plumbing of life, invisible until they fail. When designed well, they support your values and amplify the prototypes that worked. When they are missing, even great plans struggle to survive. Start by identifying the key habits that support your life map. Look at your experiments and ask which small actions produce the most benefit. If morning creative sessions led to consistent progress, the supporting habit might be preparing materials the night before. If walking after lunch improved focus, the habit could be keeping walking shoes at the office. Focus on a few high-leverage habits rather than many small changes. This focus increases the chance of lasting change. Make habits specific and context-based. Vague goals like read more are hard to maintain. A specific habit is clear. Read one chapter after dinner. Using context-based cues helps too. Associate a habit with an existing routine. For example, do a 5-minute stretch right after brushing your teeth in the morning. The pairing of context and action makes habits easier to perform automatically. Design simple rituals that make the start and end of activities more inviting. Rituals reduce friction and signal the brain that a certain mode has begun. For deep work, create a short pre-work ritual. Make a cup of tea, close your email, and set a timer for 25 minutes. For winding down, design a short sleep ritual. Dim lights, write 3 things you are grateful for, and do a breathing exercise. Rituals can be small but powerful cues. Use the rule of small wins. Aim for habits that feel almost too easy. If you begin with a tiny action, you build confidence and consistency. The habit of write 1 sentence daily is easier to start than write for an hour each day. Once the small habit is consistent, you can expand it gradually. The growth by small steps approach reduces resistance and builds momentum. Create supportive systems around habits. Systems are the structures that help habits stick. They include environment, tools, social support, and scheduling. For example, if you want to cook healthier meals, a system might include a weekly grocery plan, pre-chopped vegetables in the fridge, and a shared meal calendar with your partner. If you want to learn a language, a system might be a daily 10-minute lesson app, a weekly conversation partner, and a monthly review to track progress. Leverage context design. Your environment can make the desired behavior easy and the undesired behavior harder. If you want to read more and watch less TV in the evening, keep your phone in another room and place a book on your bedside table. Small changes in context can dramatically shift your behavior without relying solely on willpower. Use habit stacking to combine new habits with existing ones. Attach a new habit to a stable routine to increase the likelihood it sticks. For instance, if you brush your teeth every morning, add a new habit right after. After I brush my teeth, I will plan my top 3 tasks for the day. This stacking leverages the neural pathway already formed by the existing habit. Make systems forgiving. Life is messy. Build systems that allow you to miss a day without losing momentum. A good rule is the 2-day rule. Do not let more than 2 days pass without performing the habit. This reduces the risk of full reset after a missed day and keeps you in a long-term groove. Track progress with simple tools. A habit tracker can be a mark on a calendar, a note in your phone, or a weekly review. The act of tracking provides feedback and motivation. It also gives you data to test and refine. If a habit is not sticking, the tracker will show it early, and you can adjust. Use social ties to strengthen habits. Accountability partners, groups, or public commitments increase follow-through. If you pledge to a friend to write 5 days a week and share a weekly paragraph, the social element creates mild pressure and support. Choose partners who encourage and help you improve, rather than judge. Prepare for obstacles with pre-planned responses. Identify common barriers and decide how you will respond. If a late meeting threatens your morning run, you might have a backup. A 10-minute home workout. If you feel too tired to practice a skill, do a 5-minute micro practice instead of skipping entirely. Pre-deciding responses reduces decision fatigue and keeps your system resilient. Balance flexibility with structure. Routines can feel restrictive if they are too rigid. Leave room for spontaneity and rest. The point of systems is to support your values, not to trap you. If a habit consistently feels like a chore, revisit its structure or reduce its intensity. The goal is a sustainable rhythm that enhances life. A story makes this clear. Sophia wanted to read more and feel more connected to friends. She designed 2 habits: read 20 pages before bed and send 1 heartfelt message to a friend each Sunday. She created systems, a bookshelf by her bed, and a weekly reminder labeled "Send a Note." The habits fit her values and constraints and became reliable parts of her week. The systems made the habits easy and sustainable. Habits, routines, and systems are the workhorses of life design. They translate ideas into daily action. When you design them with intention, They free your mind for creative thinking and higher-level planning. They make your life plan not just inspiring, but doable and enjoyable. Build small, thoughtful systems, test them, and refine them. Over time, these small daily choices become the life you designed. Designing your life is not a one-time project. It is a living, ongoing practice. The world changes, you change, and your desires and constraints shift. Keeping the process alive means embracing iteration, regularly returning to empathy, definition, ideation, prototyping, testing, and mapping. This cycle keeps your life aligned with who you are and what you want to become. Make review rituals part of your system. Set aside regular times to check in with yourself. A quick weekly review and a deeper monthly or quarterly review work well. In the weekly review, look at what went well, what did not, and one adjustment to make next week. In the monthly review, reflect on prototypes, examine your map, and update priorities. These checkpoints prevent drift and keep learning fast. Keep a curiosity mindset. Treat changes as experiments rather than judgments. When something fails, ask what you learned. When something works, ask how to make it sustainable. Curiosity helps you see setbacks as feedback. It reduces fear and keeps you open to new directions. This mindset is central to long-term growth. Celebrate small wins and progress. Design work is incremental. Small victories, a week of consistent habits, a successful prototype, a clear insight are important. They build confidence and motivation. Recognize your progress publicly or privately. A small ritual to mark progress, like noting it in your journal or sharing it with a friend, reinforces positive momentum. Stay open to identity shifts. Over time, your sense of self will evolve. Perhaps you move from seeing yourself as a specialist to a generalist, or from a person who follows routines to someone who thrives on spontaneity. These shifts matter because they change what designs suit you. When your identity changes, update your map and experiments to match the new you. Let your design process be a tool for discovering who you are becoming. Invite feedback as a continuous practice. Regular conversations with mentors, friends, or trusted colleagues help you see blind spots and new possibilities. These conversations can be structured, a monthly accountability chat, or informal, a casual coffee to check in. Fresh perspectives keep your design process honest and rich. Protect creative time. Iteration requires space for reflection and play. Schedule time for reading, daydreaming, and trying odd ideas. Creative rest fuels new perspectives. Without it, you may fall into purely reactive problem-solving. Protecting space for emergence is a strategic act for life designers. Embrace long arcs. Some changes take months or years, and that is okay. Designing your life is about the long view as much as the short. Keep a few long-term intentions on your map, even as you chase short-term experiments. These long arcs give your choices coherence. They help you say no to distractions that do not fit the larger picture. Practice radical prototyping periodically. Every 6 months or year, allow yourself to run a larger experiment that pushes boundaries. It might be a sabbatical, a move to a new city, or a major skill-building project. These bolder prototypes create big learning and can shift your life quickly. Plan them with care, but do not fear them. Keep learning how you learn. As you iterate, you will discover which kinds of prototypes and tests give you the best feedback. Some people learn by talking and social experiments, others by solitary practice. Tune your process to your learning style. This increases the speed and depth of your progress. Stay compassionate with plateaus. Growth is not always linear. Plateaus are normal and can be fertile ground for deepening practice. When progress slows, return to empathy and ask new questions. Maybe the plateau signals a need for a new skill, or a rest period, or a shift in priorities. Plateaus are not failure. They are part of a cycle. A final story ties this together. Claire designed her life through iterative cycles. She started with a simple experiment, 2 hours a week for painting. Over months, she tested different times of day, joined a local studio, and tried selling small pieces at a market. Some experiments failed. Others revealed new strengths. She used quarterly reviews to adjust her map and yearly prototypes to explore major moves, like teaching a weekend class. Over 5 years, Claire's life shifted in ways she could not have predicted at the start. The changes were not sudden. They were the result of steady, curious iteration. Designing your life is a practice you carry forward. It asks for attention, kindness, and persistence. It rewards curiosity, resilience, and small, smart moves. Keep the loop alive. Observe, define, ideate, prototype, test, map, and repeat. With each cycle you learn more, refine your path, and create a life that feels increasingly yours. You have learned the steps of designing your life: empathy, define, ideate, prototype, test, map, and iterate. You have seen how values and constraints shape choices, how habits and systems make change possible, and how ongoing review keeps your plan alive. Most importantly, you have learned that life design is not about perfection. It is about gentle experiments, honest feedback, and slow, steady progress. Take one small step this week. Choose one problem to define, generate a few ideas, and run a tiny prototype for a few days. Notice what you learn, and update your map. Remember to be kind to yourself. Design work is a process, not a race. If this video helped you, subscribe to Better Self for more simple, practical ideas that help you grow and practice English. Share your small experiment in the comments. One sentence about what you will try this week. We will read them and cheer you on. Design your life with curiosity. Keep testing. Keep learning. Little by little, the life you design will become the life you live. Thank you for listening.